You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Kev, what's going on tonight, man?
Not a whole lot going on. What's going on with you? Happy belated Father's Day, by the way. One of the hardest working fathers in professional wrestling, may I say?
Maybe one of the hardest. Maybe not the hardest. There's a lot of guys who probably, not going to admit, work a lot harder than I do and are a lot busier than I am. But yeah, definitely work hard. Didn't spend Father's Day on the road, wrestling, like a lot of other fathers in this business and stuff. So we celebrated Father's Day on Monday when I got home and after I got some rest and woke up and stuff. But luckily I was able to get my presents like as soon as I walked in the door. Kind of like, you can't see it, but I have like this amazing shirt that my kids got me. And it says, my favorite people call me Dad. So, I kind of wore that shirt like all day today and got a lot of compliments, mainly from other fathers, but it was cool. How was your Father's Day?
It was nice and quiet, and I have no complaints.
So, did you get the traditional tie or tools or whatever the case may be?
No, we don't really celebrate it around here because I'm not a big holiday person anyway. Matter of fact, nobody wished me a happy Father's Day till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, lucky you, because, I was on the road this weekend wrestling, and about 6 o'clock Sunday morning, I get a phone call from my kids wishing me a happy Father's Day. I was still asleep, so I'm groggy. I'm in my hotel room, and I reach for the phone, and I'm like, hello? And they're like, hey, happy Father's Day, Daddy. And I'm just like, oh, God, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Jesus is still asleep right now. You could have waited till like 9, 10. Like, it's going to be Father's Day all day today. Like, you could have waited till like 9, 10 o'clock to call me and wish me a happy Father's Day. I wouldn't have been mad if you'd have waited later on in the day to wish me a happy Father's Day at all.
Yeah.
But my kids, being the evil little creatures they are, decide to first thing in the morning wish me a happy Father's Day.
Oh, that's sweet. My kids let me sleep in.
Yeah, there's no sleeping in my house. When my kids wake up, everybody wakes up.
I sleep right through it. I know there's stuff that went on all day. I think I heard everybody go out the door for church in the morning. I think I heard my daughter knocking around the kitchen for lunch, and then I woke up right around 3. So
yeah, 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. I was getting ready. I think I just got to the building. Like I said, Sunday, I was in Pelham, North Carolina for Pure Pro Wrestling. 3 o'clock, I was just getting, the doors was opening at 3 o'clock. So I was already up and changed and everything. Unfortunately, I only wrestled one time this weekend. Saturday's show was supposed to have been for Megastar Wrestling in Moyock, North Carolina. Turns out, and I didn't know this at the time, it was an outside show. But because of rain and inclement weather, the show was postponed to a future date. They didn't postpone it until the day of the show, actually. I didn't realize it until I was already on the road and I got the message, oh, the show's been canceled. So I was like, oh, great. But Sunday was in Pelham, North Carolina for Pure Pro Wrestling. Had the opportunity, you know me, Kev. I like working with guys who are inexperienced, who are green. So I had the honor of being this guy's match and stuff. It was like his 5th or 6th match ever. His name was Jeff Flowers, the common man, Jeff Flowers and stuff. And he had this hillbilly gimmick. He had the overalls and everything. But he was so proud because he had brand new wrestling boots, brand new shiny patent leather wrestling boots. He was so proud of. And I remember those days. I got my first pair of wrestling boots, and I was all excited, oh man, I got wrestling boots. I'm not wearing sneakers or wrestling shoes or kick pads. I have actual wrestling boots. So he was really excited. It was in his hometown. He got the win. I did business and put the greenhorn over, which I guess a lot of guys, in my opinion, a lot of guys won't do that, especially for somebody who has less than 10 matches. They're not going to put the greenhorn over. But it was my pleasure to put the guy over in his hometown. I will say it was a very rough match for him, though, Kevin. I will admit to roughing him up, beating the piss out of him. In my opinion, if you have less than 100 matches and I'm going to put you over, you're going to earn that win. You're going to earn me doing a favor to you by taking a hellacious ass whooping. So he took one hell of an ass whooping in front of his hometown, and then he still ended up getting, wasn't that special. It was a real quick schoolboy, real quick roll up and stuff. He got the win, and then me being the devious heel that I am, put boots to his ass afterwards. It was great.
Well, good deal. Now, did you scuff up his boots?
No, I did not scuff up his boots. That
Did anybody piss on him?
No, nobody pissed on his boots. Nobody scuffed up his boots.
Damn it, you guys are a lot more nicer to the Greenhorns than any of the veterans I knew.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, if you had some new kid coming in, and talking about how he's glad he finally got his brand new boots, you can be sure somebody's going to take them, hide them, scuff them, pee on them, dump a chili dog inside it, something.
Wow, I didn't know that was a thing. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. I'm going to ask around.
Or if you got new gear, somebody's going to spit on it, rub it in their armpit or something, something to just ruin that rookie's day.
That's just me. Like I said, that was never done to me. I didn't even know that was a thing. And plus, like, wrestling boots are expensive, even a cheap generic, non-patent leather, just a basic generic, boots are like, anywhere from $180 to $250 for a good pair of wrestling boots. Like, no offense, but that's a lot of money to just, that somebody spent for you to go around and just fuck them up, basically, for lack of a better word. Like, scuff somebody's boots up or piss on them. And, unless you're getting, like, custom gear, even regular generic gear, off the rack gear still costs a pretty penny too. Mm-hmm. Like,
but that was 20 years ago when guys still got hazed and hazing was okay. Hazing's not okay now. Thankfully.
No, don't get me wrong, though. I mean, it's, guys still get, I guess, hazed, but it's not so much, it's not like, very serious where somebody can get hurt. Or, like I said, well, I do remember, I'm sorry, because I remember when I was green, I was outside, out back, smoking a cigarette, and at the time I rode my buddy's motorcycle to the show, and I was just sitting on the bike, smoking a cigarette. I had a brand new singlet, and somebody, like, put a lit cigarette underneath my ass. And I was pissed. To this day, I'm still pissed about it. And if I ever find out who did it, I'll probably put hands on them. Because that was a brand new singlet I just got made. It was my first ever custom made singlet. It cost me like $180, and like they put a lit cigarette underneath my ass. And of course, fire and spandex do not fucking mix.
No.
So they said, I have a hole. Not only is my ass burnt, but I have a hole in my brand new gear, and they burnt the hole in my buddy's motorcycle seat, which I ended up having to pay for and replace as well.
Ah, that's shitty.
Yeah, so luckily things like that, guys now in wrestling, they're a lot more professional. And things like, even though, you still pull pranks on guys and stuff, like I said, I roughed the guy up during the match because he's green. Of course, he's green, and I don't want him going around saying, I worked with Will Huckabee and it was a piece of cake. Like, I make sure I got to uphold my reputation. Like, this guy's a badass. Like, I worked with him and it was, he took care of me, but he beat the piss out of me. I got to keep my reputation alive. And definitely after the match, the guys were like, some of the guys were in the back were like, hey, Will, I thought you were going to beat the kid up. Like, you took care of him. And I was like, no. He took some shots. And then he came to the back, and I was like, hey, Greenhorn, like, they said, they said I hit you like a Powerpuff. And he was like, hell no, like, he was beating my ass out there. Like, he had a busted lip, because I kind of need him in the face. I gave him the Kenny Omega V-trigger to the face. Couple of forearms to the chest, and, a couple of stiff forearms to the side of the head and stuff, Nothing where he's going to have permanent damage, just, he woke up very sore Monday. Let me put it like that. You still here, Kev?
Yep, still here. You cut out there for a moment.
Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, before I continue with what's going on in the current state of wrestling and everything that happened this weekend, I would like to send a special get well soon to the Golden Boy, Greg Anthony, down there in Tennessee for NWA Mid-South. I had the opportunity to work for him a couple of years ago. He was supposed to have underwent open heart surgery today, but luckily they didn't have to do open heart surgery. They just had to put a couple of stents inside of his chest and stuff. So from what I've read on Facebook and on social media, he's doing a lot better. So well wishes, get well soon to Greg Anthony. I also want to send a get well soon to somebody I consider a really good personal friend of mine. People in Georgia and Tennessee definitely know this gentleman. If you were a fan of NWA Anarchy back in the day and stuff, you definitely know this name, Iceberg. He was in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for the past week. Want to say get well soon to my buddy Iceberg. Hopefully I'll see him the next time I'm in Georgia and stuff. If not, I'm definitely going to plan on making a special trip to Georgia the next couple of days just to visit him in the hospital. But to both of these gentlemen, get well soon. What else is going on? I don't know if you've seen this on social media or not. Do you remember the wrestler that passed away about a month ago? What's his name? Wayne?
Buddy Wayne, yeah.
Yeah, passed away and stuff. They're actually having a benefit show on his behalf down in Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, he was very loved by the wrestling community, especially down in the Florida, Georgia area. I had an opportunity to meet him once or twice when I wrestled down in Florida. If you have a chance, if you can, donate to his family. All the money they're taking that they will earn or they're making that night for that benefit show will go towards his family. If you can't make it to the show, pay attention on social media. Everybody's sharing it. You'll definitely go to my social media. I've shared the post and the event several times. If you can't make it to the show, please try to donate money. Wrestling is even though it seems like there's like a million wrestlers in the world, there's really not. Good to great wrestlers. Wrestling is a very small community, very tight-knit community, especially for guys who are really good to great wrestlers and stuff. We all know each other, especially on the indie circuit. So we always try to support each other whenever we can, and when we lose a fellow wrestler, a fellow brother or sister in wrestling and stuff, it's really cool that the wrestling community kind of joins together and tries to help out the family of our fallen brother or sister. So attend the event if you can. If you cannot, please, follow social media stuff and try to figure out a way to donate to help his family out.
Indeed.
Yes. With that being said, wow, WWE just had a pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, SmackDown, SmackDown, the women's, I'm sorry, was it Raw that had the pay-per-view, or was it SmackDown? I think it was Raw, wasn't it?
You got me. I have no idea.
They're probably going to talk about it, unfortunately, on Thursday Night AMP. I'm just going to talk about one specific incident. During the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, a female did not pull down the briefcase. WWE superstar James Ellsworth actually climbed the ladder and pulled the briefcase down and then handed it to Carmella. People are pissed all around social media, not only WWE wrestlers and superstars, but also, wrestling fans and wrestlers and the independent wrestling community. Just to say real brief, in my opinion, I don't see a problem with it. Nobody's ever complained when Lita got involved in TLC matches with the Hardys. Nobody said anything about Rhino or Spike Dudley getting involved in these matches. I don't see a problem. That's her boyfriend, whatever you want to call it, manager, valet, boy toy. I don't know what you want to hanger on. Everybody plays a role. His role is to assist her, and that's what he did. People are complaining like, there was a great historical moment that was just ruined. People quit taking wrestling so serious. Like, wrestling is no different than a movie, or, it's no different than your favorite Star Wars movie, or, Harry Potter, or your action movie. Things happen, and of course, just like in the movies, things that you want to happen are not going to happen. Things are going to happen in a movie that you're not going to like. It's the same thing with professional wrestling. Just enjoy the show. If you feel like you can put together a better show, you feel like you can book a better show, then by all means do so. Raise the money.
Now, does nobody remember the most famous instance of this type of scripting happening?
I think I know what you're talking about, but for everybody else, Kev, what are you talking about?
this is pretty much the entire setup for WrestleMania 3 and 4.
Yes, I was going to say something about that, but
Andre the Giant wins the title and immediately turns it over to Ted DiBiase, and they squabbled over that for months, and eventually DiBiase was forced to vacate the title, and they set up an entire tournament the next year for it. That lasted a year.
Yes, but nowadays, Kev, wrestling is different. The attention span of most wrestling fans is, Jesus, I'll say 7/8 shorter. Wrestling fans nowadays, the fast food generation. They want their storylines, last 3-4 months and move on to the next.
Well, when WWE's shoveling you a pay-per-view every 2 weeks.
Yes, very rarely do you have a wrestling company book a long-term story angle. Where story angle last year is kind of like how Paul Heyman did the Taz Sabu storyline in ECW, where it was, a 2-year-long storyline. And before they even had their first match, it was a year before these guys even touched each other. But it was like a year-long storyline before they actually even had a match. And then there was another it was another year before they actually had like the big blow off for their feud. Nowadays, wrestling fans they don't have the attention span. They don't want to wait for beef Wellington. They want a double cheeseburger. That's the best way I can explain it, Kev. Is that people want the quality of a good beef Wellington, but they want it cooked about as fast as a McDonald's double cheeseburger.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next point is that people take things way too serious. Not just wrestling fans, but wrestlers in particular. It's like, quit taking, wrestling is supposed to be fun. All of us got into wrestling and became wrestling fans because it was fun, because we loved it, because we enjoyed it. When I know myself, when I first got introduced to the business and had my first match, I was like, man, I would do this shit for free. I love this so much. And then somewhere along the line, politics and egos and money gets involved, and people stop having fun. And for years, guys will it'll all be about that next booking and stepping on somebody to get to that next level, and they forget to just have fun. They forget that they forget what made them want to become a wrestler. They forget the fun and the pageantry and the athleticism and the stories. And people just forget that all the time, man. And I wish that we could go back. I don't care about the moves, Well, I do care about the moves, but I don't care how many flips or dives, or if somebody never touches the ring, somebody never touches the ropes during a 15-minute technical classic. I don't care as far as the moves go. Like, just have fun. If I know the guys in the ring are having fun, I'm going to have fun. I consider myself a wrestling fan first and then a wrestler second, because I feel like I can watch any match and step away from being a wrestler and just being a fan and try to enjoy the match. And then I can always go back and watch the match as a wrestler and see what's right, what's wrong, what I can learn from this match. What about you, Kev?
I absolutely agree.
Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, if you feel like you can book a better show, if you feel like you can offer something different to professional wrestling as a whole, to the business, then, book a building, get you a ring, raise the money, talk to some sponsors, book some wrestlers, and have your own show. And speaking of, those things right there, that brings us to tonight's guest. Kev, if you don't mind calling our two guests for tonight's show, we'll get into why I'm telling people to buy their own ring and book their own show if they think they have something different to offer.
All right, calling Charlene first.
Yay.
Hello?
Hey, girl. Charlene?
Yeah, is this Will?
What's going on? This is Will from the Wrestling Nerdcast. Hold on 1 second. We got to call Christian, okay?
All right, cool.
All right. Go ahead, Kev.
All righty.
right, good night, Dad. Love you. I don't know. She might not be coming over now. Because she said she didn't feel like doing it tomorrow at work.
Hang on, what's going on here? Will, you didn't give me Christian's phone number. You gave me Charlene's phone number in the chat.
You want me to call him and have him on?
No, his number, are you ready?
Yeah.
Christian's number is 502-544-1698.
That's my number.
Oh, then hold on. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I have it backwards. It's 502-963-2769. I had it backwards, I'm sorry.
And what's Christian's last name?
Huh?
What's Christian's last name again?
Skyfire. What, Skyfire? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey,
Yeah.
Christian.
What's going on?
Not much. This is Will. I got Charlene on the other line and stuff, and I have my producer, Killer Kev. He might be asking some questions, maybe not. He might butt in. I'm going to go ahead and give both of y'all an introduction, and then we'll start with the interview, okay?
Okay.
All right. Charlene, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me introduce y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the Wrestling Nerdcast, speaking of wrestling promoters, speaking of people who feel like they have something to offer the business, the sport of professional wrestling, we have the representatives for a brand new wrestling company based out of Indiana, Evolution Pro Wrestling. They just had their first show this past weekend. We're going to talk to former guest of the Wrestling Nerdcast, referee Charlene, who we introduced, we know from OVW Wrestling in Kentucky, and we're also talking to the promoter of Evolution Pro Wrestling, Christian Skyfire. Thank you both for being a guest on the show tonight.
Hey, thank you for having us. First off, a couple things is I'm actually not the promoter. I'm the booker. We actually have another promoter, but and Evolution Pro was also a company that we actually had a little run in 2013, but you know it's better now, and it's a different company pretty much now than what it used to be.
Okay. Well, I apologize for that. I guess that's me not doing my homework the way I should. I'm gonna start with
you're absolutely fine.
I'm gonna start with you first, Christian, because now, correct me if I'm wrong, you run out of the world famous arena out of Jeffersonville, Indiana, correct?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of good companies run in that same building. What do you feel that Evolution Pro Wrestling, what makes Evolution Pro Wrestling different than the other wrestling companies that are running in the same arena? Not saying that Evolution Pro is better or they're worse or nothing. I just want to know what's different. What does Evolution Pro Wrestling have to offer to the fans of the Midwest?
Oh, you put me on a point here. Okay, so there are some very great promotions running in there. I mean, I'm not going to knock anybody's talent levels, but we have not the same cookie cutter program that everybody else has. Everybody else has the same 5 or 6 guys on the show. You know, like you can go see Jim Bob here tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night, Friday night, and then Evolution Pro's got a totally different person. You know, we don't have the same Jim Bob that the other companies have, you know. So basically something new. And then people that they haven't seen in a long time that the other companies have said, you know, they didn't want to work with them. You know, well, we're not afraid to work with those people because those people were there for a reason before they left.
Oh, okay, yeah. I apologize if you feel like I'm putting you on the spot. I just want to know what was different. Was the action different? Storylines? You're saying that Evolution Pro, the talent that they'll see at your company is not the talent that, you know, the fans of that area is used to seeing. There might be some old faces they haven't seen in a while, new faces that they've never really seen in that area, talent they might have seen once or twice but not consistently, correct?
Right. We're starting to develop some names in the area already that the people just aren't used to seeing, and some that they've never even seen before that once they showed up, they're like, wow, those guys are pretty daggone amazing.
Now, Charlene, I'm gonna switch it to you real quick. What is your role in this entire company? Because, like I said, you work for OVW. You've worked for several other companies and stuff in the Midwest area. What is your role in this new company, or the resurgence of Evolution Pro?
I guess me, I'm the senior official, and then I'm just me and Christian Skyfire go way back. So my whole thing with Evolution is I love OVW. It's, TV is awesome and everything, but it's more of like storyline based. It's more of a storyline based show because we're producing TV. With Evolution, it's something where you can get a group of guys and girls together, and you can just have fun and just put on a good wrestling show. Like, in my opinion, like a hybrid wrestling show. People on our show are going to be able to work every kind of style.
Well, that's amazing right there. Christian, I'm going to kick back to you and stuff because you just had your first show back this past weekend. Yeah, this past weekend, if I'm correct. How was it? How was that first show? What was the mood like? What was the mood like with the crowd? What was the mood like with the boys and ladies in the back and stuff? And how did you feel at the end of the night?
Well, to be honest with you, the locker room was absolutely amazing. Like, I was really worried about it overall. Like, I was worried, there might be drama, there might be politics. It's typical indie wrestling nonsense. But there was absolutely none of that. The locker room was absolutely amazing. The young guys were very big on asking the vets, on stuff, that they could work on, stuff that they could do. Everything worked so good. The crowd could have been a little bit more into the show. The crowd was decent size. I mean, we had a good crowd for our first show back. I'm trying to think overall. Overall, though, some people say that wrestling's their girlfriend. Some people say that wrestling's their drugs. Well, if wrestling's their drugs, the first show was a drug that I still haven't gotten over the high from. Because I'm still right now I can't believe it happened that way. So I'm really happy about it.
I was really happy when I looked at the card, because one of my favorite guys in the Midwest, for reasons outside of wrestling, for something that he had done, for a fan, was on the show, Ace Perry. I'm a huge Ace Perry fan. I think we all know the story about how he went to the prom, with a fan who had special needs, who had autism, and as a father of two sons with autism, I love Ace Perry for that little gesture and stuff, and I highly commend and recommend him to any promoter or booker, not only because he's just a good person overall, but because he can work and stuff. I know that Ace Perry, and with that being said, I know that Ace Perry works a lot in different companies in the Midwest, and especially in your area and stuff. Was there any issues using Ace Perry on your show, or any of the talent on your show? Did you catch any heat for some of those guys?
Well, Ace actually canceled on me due to some prior obligations, which I'm totally understanding. I actually used Ace when Evolution first started, and Ace is I consider Ace a friend of mine. So I totally understand that his other obligations, all I can say is he was down in Florida. I'm not going to say what he was doing in Florida, but he was in Florida, with some obligations, which I totally was like, Ace, go do that, because Lord knows if you'll ever have that opportunity again or not. But, with the rest of them, there was a ton.
Are you going to give us a hint and say that he was around the Orlando area?
He very possibly could have been around the Orlando area. I can neither confirm nor deny that, but I can say it was very possible that he was somewhere around Orlando and Tampa and somewhere in that general vicinity. We'll make a big circle out of it.
We'll make a big, okay. But we'll put 100-mile radius around that.
Right. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. But I mean, we were blessed with a lot of people on there that are doing a lot of things. Like Lennox Norris is currently working for WWE this weekend. He's been gone since the pay-per-view, and he's been on Raw and SmackDown. He's on SmackDown. He was doing some work with WWE today. He actually had a tryout this morning. So there's quite a few of them that have been doing everything. But yeah, I had a lot of drama with a lot of the people working on the show due to other promoters in the area, threatening their, time in their company if they worked for my company.
Now, Charlene, I'm going to ask you because, like I said, like we said before, you're a referee for OVW, which is basically right across the lake, or right across the river from Jeffersonville, Indiana. Not only being one of the few female referees in the country, but working for such a prominent independent company like OVW and stuff. Did you receive, Rip Rogers' blessing? Did you receive the blessing to go work for Evolution Pro, or was it just, you saying, hey, I want to go and help somebody new, I want to go make my mark somewhere else, and to hell with it?
Well, the whole thing with OVW is, like, they know I take other bookings in the area, so it's never been something that it's kind of like, oh, hey, it's one of those things, like, it doesn't bother them, as long as it's not interfering with OVW's business,
All right, now, now that we got that out the way, y'all, I know y'all feel like, I know, like, those first couple of questions make like, Jesus, like, what kind of interview is this? Let's have some fun now.
Man, you trying to get sweat? Like, oh, man, am I going to lose my job?
No. Let's have some fun now. Charlene, you're a great, amazing ref, and we've talked and stuff in Indiana and stuff, and I had the pleasure of working in Indiana, and we talked in the show and stuff. How was it different? How was you received inside this locker room? Because I know a lot of guys know you and stuff, but this is still a new company. You're the senior referee and everything in a male-dominated business, and in a male-dominated area of the business, because the majority of referees in wrestling are male and stuff. With you being the senior referee, did you feel like this was your chance to make your mark, to say, hey, look, this is how a referee is going to act like, this is how a referee is going to look, this is how a referee is going to conduct themselves in this company?
Yeah, I can agree with you with that. Like, it was kind of one of those things of, I want to be able to, I feel like now that I've been involved in wrestling, the past 7 or 8 years, that I want to be able to help others, I want to be able to, like when I see somebody that I can be like, well, they can improve on this. I want to be able to, if I never make it somewhere, I want to at least have a positive impact on somebody else that can make it somewhere.
Now, Christian, before y'all both came in the air, we were talking about, the big fiasco with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match and people complaining. And I said, if you have a complaint about how wrestling is being done, start your own company, book your own talent, book your own venue, get your own ring, run your own company. Why come back? What do you feel like is different now than it was in 2013? And what do you feel Evolution? What do you feel like you as the booker? What are your ideas as far as professional wrestling go, as far as it's presented, as far as it's booked, as far as what the fans see?
Ooh, I like that one. Well, as far as like the booking and stuff, the way the vision, a lot of TV wrestling, I think, has went to more, it's more commercial than it is, actual wrestling anymore. You have a few companies out there that actually present their product the way that it should. Like, a lot of people crap on TNA or Impact, whatever it is, but I totally agree with a lot of the stuff they do. Yeah, the Hardy stuff was a little nuts, but it was drawing in ratings, and that's what they were going for. WWE kind of books their stuff a little crazy. My vision is to book a product that not only your 80-year-old grandma, but your 8-year-old son can all enjoy at the same time. You'll see a little bit of Memphis, a little bit of lucha, a little bit of Mexico, even a little bit of hardcore. I try to do everything with that, and what was the other part of that question again?
What do you have
you can tell you're my friend ADD mine.
Say it again.
I'm sorry. She was talking about my ADD. Oh.
I'm going to ask you this, Christian, because I'm branched into another part of professional wrestling. I'm actually going to roll a booker for a specific company here in North Carolina. So it's all about, and myself, I find it's all about trying to rebrand the company, trying to show the fans, I know you're used to this type of wrestling, but we're going to give you this. I find at times it can be very difficult, especially when you're working in an area that has wrestling, to let the fans know, like, hey, this is something different. This is what we're going to give you that's different than everything else you've ever seen before, and getting the fans to warm up to the idea. Do you feel that you're going to have a difficulty getting fans used to a different type of wrestling, a different style of wrestling, and having different wrestlers than what they're used to seeing?
A little bit, yes, I do agree with that, because you know, a lot of the newer guys, the crowd here is very set on, you know, the same guys because, like I said, you know, they see the same guy on every show in the city. So when they see this guy, you know, from like the Tennessee area or the West Virginia area that they've never seen before, you know, they're like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? You know, like, and before the shows, I usually go out and talk to the crowd, and I tell them, you know, and they'll be like, who is this guy? And I'll be like, just wait, you're gonna be impressed. And, you know, and then when they come out, they get impressed, and they're like, wow, you were absolutely correct on that. You know, so, I mean, they're pretty warm to accepting new people. It's just a matter of getting the new people in here for them to accept them, you know.
Oh, yeah, I definitely understand. Like I said, I definitely understand that with my new role. Like I said, with me now starting to book a show, I'm starting to realize what people were telling me when I was green about how difficult it is. I'm going to ask you, what's the easiest thing about being a booker for a wrestling show? What's the hardest thing, and what's the most fulfilling thing for you as being a booker?
The hardest thing is dealing with all the politics and nonsense of people not being able to work for you because they're working for other companies in the area. The easiest part is the fact that, you know, I started wrestling when I was 18 years old, you know, and I'm 37 now, so I've been around the business forever. So the easiest part is putting stuff together that makes sense, you know, and the most fulfilling part of it is like at the end of the night, I had a Houdini Battle Royal, which is kind of odd because I honestly don't believe anybody's ever done it, except for the Coliseum in Evansville one time. And what it was all the guys started on the outside of the ring, and this box got thrown in the middle, and the winner had to escape the Battle Royal, had to go in the ring, get the box, and escape the ring and land on the floor with both feet in order to win the match. And it was absolutely pure chaos, and that's exactly what I was looking for because I wanted that chaos factor. I wanted the crowd to leave going, what in the heck just went on here? You know, I wanted them to go and tell their friends, oh, my gosh, that stuff was crazy. You need to go check that craziness out, you know, because
if I can cut in really for a second, I thought, can I interrupt you for a second?
Go ahead. By all means, go ahead and interrupt him.
Okay. While refereeing that, I felt like I was going to get ran over. Like, it was great. I was just like, oh, what is going on around me? Like, there was action everywhere, and it was just wild. So I totally agree with him. It was a craziness.
Right, and that was that fulfilling moment as you speak about.
Okay, so Charlene, since you were talking about that specific match, how you said it was chaotic and stuff. As a referee, for a company that's brand new, with a brand new style of wrestling, brand new talent, what's the hardest thing about being a referee for talent that you're not very familiar with? What's the easiest thing about being a referee for a lot of the talent that you're not familiar with? And what's the most fulfilling thing for you?
That's a good question, man. I'll have to think on that one for a second. I guess going into it with like an open mind, like you don't know what they're going to do. So it keeps you on your toes, and just being a part of a match that you feel like magic, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Charlene, you've been around the business for like 7 or 8 years now, and in any wrestling terms and stuff, you're basically a veteran referee. Obviously, Christian and the powers that be at Evolution Pro have a lot of faith in your abilities as a referee, being the senior ref. You know, as soon as the company's coming back and they name you as their senior referee, how do you feel about the current state of professional wrestling now, as from the referee's perspective? Because you know we've seen. You know, with you working at OVW, obviously you were right there in the middle of the entire sandstorm or hurricane, as you might want to call it, with the Rip Rogers tweet. You know, the whole hashtag Dobbs incident. How do you feel? Your personal feelings and stuff. How do you feel about professional wrestling in the current state?
I mean, I feel like there's a need for all of it. I mean, sometimes like the super indie stuff, like I feel like it's cool for like a match on the card or two, but for me, I'm like, I want to be mostly involved in it. I want to be invested. Like I want to get a reaction, you know. But with the whole Rip Rogers like tweet stuff, like I'd see the comments that people were posting on it, and I'm like, well, people are going to disagree, you know. So kept my mouth shut. But some of the stuff I was like, dang, you all really just don't, you just don't understand this outlook on wrestling. Like, everyone has their own opinion, but no, in my opinion, like, wrestling right now, I feel like it's on a boom. I feel like it's starting to become more popular again, and it's pretty cool now when, you see all these indie shows and you see that your friends are getting to work, like, 5 or 6 times a week, so.
Before I go back to Christian, WWE just basically hired its first female referee. And I know when you were the guest of the show the last time, we actually talked about that. Do you think that WWE will have a female referee? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you know who Kennedy Brink is.
Yes, I do.
What was your feelings when it was announced that she got signed to WWE as a referee? How happy were you as a female to know that finally females had broke through that glass ceiling? I feel that was the last big glass ceiling as far as wrestling goes, especially with WWE. As far as the female referee goes, how did you feel about that?
Well, I wish it was me so I could quit working at a bank. It's the first thing I have to say to that.
Okay, everybody would feel that way, of course.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's cool that, like, that they hire people that are, like, wrestlers instead of refs. But, it's cool that she got a spot, but I've never met her. I've heard that she's, like, an awesome person, but I feel like, I don't know, I think in a way it's kind of frustrating when you see, like, a lot of people are really good refs and they don't get a spot because a worker gets that spot instead, but then vice versa, you get people like, I know Drake was fine with getting hired as a ref and other people were too, but it just kind of stinks when they want to actually, they probably rather wrestle and then they hire him as a ref. But, I mean, hey, get your job, get your money, and then hopefully you can transition and be what you want to be, in the company. So you got to take what you can get, and work your way up.
Well, no, I'm asking you that question because now that they have the first female referee, that's definitely going to open the doors to more female referees. And obviously, your name is at the very top of a very, very short list that we both agreed on. There's like maybe 4 or 5 other female referees in the country I can think of off the top of my head. So you're right at the very top. Yeah. Yes, so you're right at the very top of this very, very short list. And we definitely know with the women's tournament coming up that they're definitely going to start looking at more female referees. So I'm going to go ahead and say right now, when you get the phone call to go ahead and referee the Mae Young Women's Classic, hopefully that you'll come back and be a guest of the show, correct?
Well, of course, man. I can't forget the people that help me out, right? Come on now.
Of course not. Now, Christian, I will go back to you and Evolution Pro and stuff. So you just had your first show. What is going into the second show, June 30th? Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay. What are your hopes and aspirations? What's your goal going into this second show?
Well, I mean, with the lineup that I have for this next show, I'm just hoping that the other companies in the area can hang on. Because I'm going to set a standard with this next show that they're going to have to climb some big ladders to get up there with me because I'm going to be standing on top of the ladder looking down on them, telling them to come on up.
Okay, because you just made a very big claim. You just made a very big, bold statement. Go ahead and give us a teaser of some of the talent you have announced for the show June 30th.
Rudy Switchblade, who I don't know if you're really familiar with him. He trained at the New Japan Dojo in LA with TJ Perkins, and he's traveled pretty much everywhere there is, worked for every company there is. Rudy Switchblade with and Dale Patricks, who pretty much any indie show you look on in the country, you've probably seen Dale's name on it. Lee Byford, who's out of Tennessee, who's probably he's probably the closest thing there ever will be to Bam Bam Bigelow, ever. But he has the agility of, like, gosh, I don't even know, like a cruiserweight. He flips like a cruiserweight, but
a standing shooting star. Didn't we see him do that one time?
Yes. I mean, he has the agility of a cruiserweight with the fighting styles of like a Bam Bam Bigelow or a Vader or somebody like that. against a local guy here named the Amazing Pookie, who's like everybody's underdog story, but nobody wants to wrestle him because they're scared that he's going to hit them too hard. So it's going to be like a big hoss battle. Right. It's going to be that's going to be a big hoss battle. And then I have two guys who should be on 205 Live right now. There's no doubt about it. The Elements of Wrestling, Caden Sade and Matt Madison, versus Corey Storm and Mickey Midas, which I'm forcing them to tag because they had some issues at the last show and they're supposed to be best friends. So I'm going to force them to tag and see how that works. I'm trying to think what else I have. Oh, just signed yesterday. I actually signed a boy from up in the Indianapolis area by the name of Sean Kemp, who is an amazing second generation superstar, going against a guy from one of the other companies that's decided to come our way, in Nick Depp. I don't know if you know much about Nick Depp, but if you don't, you really need to check him out because the kid's phenomenal.
I'm very so far. A lot of the guys that you mentioned, I'm very familiar. Dale Patrick, I worked with him down in Atlanta for Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. Big Lee, I consider Big Lee. He's one of the guys that I put into that heavyweight high flyer category. Guys like him, myself, Apollo Creed, Apollo Creed before when he was Uha Nation. Guys who are over 225, 230. Who just move, guys who are 250, 260, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, Lee is on the same category as a Keith Lee, in my opinion.
Oh my God.
I've seen him on shows in Tennessee, and I'm like, God, I would just love to work with this guy. Like, we can have a really good big man cruiserweight lucha libre style match because he's so big, and like you said, he works very tight, but he's so light in the feet, he's so athletic. And when you see, just like with Keith Lee and a couple of other guys, you see his size and you're like, oh, he's going to be big and he's going to be slow, and then he takes off and you're like, Jesus, I didn't see that coming.
Oh yeah, Keith Lee is amazing. I'm trying to get a contact on him right now.
Okay, so you got all the talent. You made this bold prediction that, hey, the rest of the companies in the area, may have to step their game up and stuff. But let's be honest, are you really concerned with what anybody else is doing? Talk to you and seeing what you have going on. It doesn't seem like you're really worried about what anybody else is doing, even if they're running the same area as you. You're kind of just on your own path, on your lane, doing your own thing. Am I correct?
Right. Well, when I first started Evolution the first time, there was a promoter in this area that came to me and he said, I'm not really worried about Evolution. You're not competition to me. And then now that we're back and he drew 25 last week and we drew 100, now I look at him and I say, you're not competition to me.
So do you feel that competition breeds creativity?
Oh yeah, it makes us all work harder to make the other person look like less of a promotion.
All right, so Charlene, I'm gonna get back to you. So Christian, they're talking about bringing back Evolution Pro Wrestling. You get the phone call. Hey Charlene, we're gonna start running again. We're running in this area right here. We want you to be our senior referee. What was going through your mind when you got the call, when you got the invitation to be the senior referee for this company that's just coming back, having their first show, in an area that's saturated, but it's so full of great wrestling shows and great wrestling talent?
Well, I probably said a few choice words when I got that call. So I was a part of Evolution at the beginning. I was on and off kind of there because of my work schedule, but I was always behind them, and I wanted Evolution to do well, to succeed and everything. And, I'm just glad that we're back running. So, but I feel like this show's different than a lot of shows in the area. We're not going to be focused on, a bunch of gory stuff or, just Memphis style or super indie style. We're going to have a good mix of everything. So
now, Charlene, when I was Charlotte put the call out and stuff on social media about if anybody wanted to be a guest for the show, and you contacted me immediately. And at first I was like, okay, well maybe she wants to be a guest on the show again and talk about herself. But you immediately was like, hey, there's a show that I'm a part of. It's called Evolution Pro Wrestling. They're about to have their first show. You need to talk to the powers that be, to the booker, to the promoter about this company because it's going to be a big thing. You're like one of the biggest cheerleaders for this company. Why is that?
Why is that? Because I want a show that we can go to and you can have fun and you can put on a good product. And it's not going to be bullshit and you don't have to, it's not going to be bullshit and you don't have to kiss up to the booker and then have to worry about if you're not in the circle that they're going to kick you out, or if you go do something that you can get fired from a show or this or that. Because in our area, there's just, and I'm going to eliminate this right now, and this has nothing to do with OVW. I'm not talking about OVW at all. I love OVW, but I'm talking about, I consider OVW a little bit different, even though it's indie. I consider it different than other companies in the area. Other companies in the area, they're just they just feed on drama and BS, and it's like, let's just come together and put a good show on. And I feel like at this show, I'm going to be able to, I'm going to be able to help others get better, I feel like it's a family.
Now, Christian, like I said, Charlene is one of the biggest supporters of Evolution Pro Wrestling. When she contacted me, she was like, hey, look, you need to talk to this guy about this company and stuff. As the booker, as somebody who's in the front office and stuff, how do you feel? How does that make you feel when you know that, you have such a dedicated person on the team, on the roster and stuff that you've brought into the company? How does that make you feel knowing that she's one of the biggest supporters of the company?
Well, it makes me feel really good, but when it comes to Charlene's always been a big supporter. Charlene's always been there. Even when she wasn't there in the beginning days, when she left, she was still there. I could call her and be like, hey, I need your help, and she would still be there. So I mean, it means a lot. She's not like a senior official to me. She's like a little sister to me. So, it's kind of it means even more to me. It's like I'm being able to keep my family, with each other instead of my family being all over the place, because I don't really look at my company as a company. I look at it as a family. I look at my locker room as all, I don't look at them as my brothers and sisters anymore, because I've kind of became like the father figure, I guess, being the booker. So it's kind of like they're all my kids. I'm watching all my kids grow together, so it's kind of cool.
So as a booker and stuff, and as the father figure, because a lot of companies say we're a family, and then we've all been in business for years, and so we know that's definitely not the case in a lot of times. I'm just being honest, and not talking about any company whatsoever. We're talking about indie wrestling as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and make that known right now. When we're talking about wrestling companies, we're not talking about any specific company. We're talking about wrestling as a whole. I know I am personally. I know that you are, Christian. I know that you are as well, Charlene. So this is not an attack against any one particular company, unless we happen to mention you by name. But getting back to my statement and my question, a lot of companies say that we're a family. When you say that, Chris, you say that we're a family. How do you make the guys feel? How do you present that in the locker room with the boys in the back? Do you have an open door policy? Because I know that sometimes as a booker, guys have their own, as a booker, but also as a professional wrestler myself, guys have ideas for their character, for their gimmick, for their storyline. Sometimes, they're in the general direction, the same direction as you are. Sometimes they go off in left field. But how do you have an open door policy when it comes to the talent?
Well, I mean, as far as what you were saying, all I ask for is to help me put my story where it needs to be. I don't want to build my story by myself. I want everybody that's in my locker room to help me build the stories. If I tell you I want this out of you, I just want you to go there. I don't care how you go there. That's just the way I've always been. I'm not going to be one of these people that's like, well, at 3 minutes and 42 seconds, I want you to do this. At 5 minutes, I want you to do this. I want you to tell your own story. I'm going to tell you where to go with it. I just want you, and then you go with it. And that's part of being a family is you have to have faith in all the members of your family. Otherwise, your family will never be strong. you know, and I've seen so many companies fall apart because they said, we're a family, we're a family, we're a family. And then it's more like, for the booker or the promoter, it's like, yeah, we're a family if you're doing something for me. You know, I don't want them to do anything for me. I want them to do it for themselves, you know, and just help me put this product on that I'm looking for, you know. So, and it's real easy. I mean, like, I don't control the locker room, you know, as the booker. I don't control the locker room. I'll find a couple of the vets that are in the locker room, and I allow them to control the locker room, because the boys are going to look up to the boys. And if it's somebody that they've looked up to for 10 years now, then they're going to expect more out of it. But if it's just some booker that's not even putting on gear and getting in the ring anymore, then they're not going to look up to him as much. You know, they're going to be like, this guy's just a booker. Whereas if I have, like, say last show, like Joseph Swartz and Dale Patrick's, you know, and I have all of them down there and they're controlling the locker room, you know, everybody's looking at them like, oh man, you know, they know what they're doing. I'm going to talk to them. You know, so the family thing works really well if you keep it a family.
Okay. Speaking of family friendly or more adult oriented, which one do you prefer?
I'm going to say PG-13 because I'm kid friendly, but I like the adultness. So you might hear a couple words that you might not want to hear, but you're not going to see something that you extremely don't want to see.
What about you, Charlene? Do you prefer family-friendly shows or more adult-themed shows? Which do you prefer? Which would you prefer to work with?
Oh man, I love. To be honest with you, I like adult shows, because if you're getting in a fight with somebody, let's be realistic, you're not gonna say I'm gonna kick his butt. It adds more realism to wrestling, I feel like, when it's more adult-oriented.
Now let's talk about. So you know, we have the booker with the senior referee. Let's talk about the powers that be, the owners, the promoters of Evolution Pro Wrestling. Obviously, they have the utmost faith in both of you. They've chosen you to come onto the show, represent their show. Good relationship. What was it like with the promoters and stuff? The owner of Evolution Pro. What is their vision? When you were first approached, Christian, what was spoken to you? What was the promoter's vision as far as the show?
Well, the funniness about it was he actually was sponsoring another company in the area, and me and him had talked several times, and the promotion at the time that he was sponsoring actually screwed me over on a couple payouts and didn't pay me. So I had quit working for him, and he messaged me and he was like, you know, hey man, what's going on? Blah blah blah. And I told him, and he was like, well, that's messed up. And he was like, you know, I hate sponsoring people. I just want to run my own wrestling promotion. And we talked quite a bit, you know, with me having Evolution already and stuff. And I was like, well, you know, Evolution was my baby. It was my dream. It was everything that I wanted. I was like, why don't you take my company and run with it? I was like, you have the ability, you have the business mind, and I have the wrestling mind, and if we put our minds together, then everything would be beautiful. And he so far has kept up with everything that he said, and his vision is my vision. You know, that's what he says. He says that he's living through me. He's the promoter and I'm the booker, and he goes by what the booker said, you know, which is a lot more than a lot of promoters nowadays would do. You know, a lot of promoters would control the booker. He does not control me at all. He tells me my budget. He tells me what, you know, and I take care of business.
Oh, so, you know, that's so relieving to hear. As a booker, do you feel that that's necessary to have a successful company? Is, you know, everybody has a role, everybody has their job. You promote our book and never show the two cross paths. Do you feel that that's necessary to have a successful company?
I mean, everybody's got to cross paths at some point, you know, in the business. You know, I mean, I help him with the promotion stuff, but everybody helps him. You know, like I said, we literally, when we go out flying, most of the time there's usually like 6 or 8 of us out there flying, you know, because as a company, you're not going to succeed unless, you know, all the gears are turning together. You know, if one gear's turning opposite the other gears, then it jams up the whole system, you know. So, I mean, with that, you know, we have to cross paths, but I mean, minimal is best, I guess you would say.
Yes, I would definitely say that. So, now it's time for the hard questions once again, because like I said, you're running in the arena. What's so special about that building? Why do so many companies love to run that building? What makes it different, in your opinion, than a lot of other venues, not only in the Midwest, but in your travels?
I've been blessed to work in some of the biggest venues in the area, like the Coliseum and all that stuff. But like with the arena, the God's honest truth with it is some promoters have just went out here and went to these buildings and either one, screwed the owners over on money, which caused them to hate wrestling, or two, they just got kicked out of the area for the amount of violence they've had in their shows because the people don't want to see people killing themselves for, what's supposed to be a show. So a lot of it's due to the fact that a lot of the buildings in our area will not have wrestling. But yet the arena in Jeffersonville, which is, it's owned by Too Tough Tony, he's been wrestling his whole life. So he loves wrestling, and he wants wrestling there. And he's very, very stern on what he has and what he doesn't have there. So it provides a great venue for great wrestling.
Charlene, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel working in the arena in Jeffersonville? What are your personal feelings about the building? How do you feel whenever you step into that building?
I guess I feel sweaty. Let me put that out there because it's a typical wrestling building. You're gonna have to, it's definitely hot, but I feel like it wouldn't be a wrestling building if it wasn't hot, right? It's just one of those places, it just reminds you of, an old, ECW type crowd. You know what I mean? Like if you watch, the old ECW stuff, the old concrete buildings and stuff. I don't know. It's weird to explain. It just reminds you of, an underground type feeling.
I will. That is something I would definitely agree with. Being that I've wrestled for other companies, unfortunately, I haven't been contacted by Evolution Pro yet to come and work. But I have been in the arena several times, and yes, every time I've been in the arena, I get that feeling of very old school wrestling. The locker room's downstairs. To come upstairs. It's very hot. It's very sweaty. If you get a packed crowd in there, especially with the vinyl canvas, man, the walls are just dripping with sweat. But it's a great film. In my opinion, it's a great film. They have a great wrestling crowd there, in my opinion. Would you both agree?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so, Christian, before we, I know our time is very short, but I want to ask you, in the future plans for Evolution Pro, will we see, how many titles do you plan on having? Do you plan on having a main champion, a secondary champion, tag team champion, and a women's champion? Do you plan on keeping the titles very limited? What is your vision?
Originally, in the original days of EPW, we had an elite champion, which is the equivalent of your heavyweight champion. We had an open weight champion, which is kind of like just like New Japan has, the never open weight championship. Where it's just no rules, no weight classes, no nothing. It's just, it basically the champion of that division picks what style of match he's going to have. So if he's a hardcore guy, of course he's going to have hardcore matches, which is pretty cool. And then, we're talking about having our duos championship, which I know that somebody else already had a duos championship. But I like the name of it, so that company's no longer around. So we're gonna have a duos championship.
All right. So in the future, what is your long-term plans for Evolution Pro? Let's go ahead and say that. What is your 1 year, 5 year, 10 years from now? What is your goal for Evolution Pro?
1 year to be one of very select few companies running in Southern Indiana. 5 years to be one of the premier independent companies in the United States. And 10 years, if I had to say 10 years, I'd say hopefully having a major TV deal.
All right. And what about you, Charlene? 1 year, 5 year, 10 years from now, where do you see not only your career, but your role your role inside Evolution Pro? Where do you see yourself?
Well, here I hope we're doing like iPay-per-views and stuff like that. 5 years, I'd say like kind of like a territory type deal where we're traveling to different cities, within our region, like, maybe Indianapolis and Cincinnati, Evansville. I think that'd be pretty cool. In 10 years, like he said, I mean, be on, like an ROH type level, ROH TNA type level.
One more question before I kick it back before I ask Christian. Charlene, as a referee, and as a very good, great referee and stuff. Did you have has Christian and the powers that be kind of giving you the leeway to say, hey, I would like for this person to be a referee. I don't too much like this guy, this girl, whatever. Do you get to pick and choose, or do you have a say in who comes and wrestles, who doesn't?
I mean, I guess so, right? Right, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, as far as referees, she is the end-all, say-all. If she don't like you, you're gone. If she wants you to come in, then I'm going to give you a shot. As far as wrestlers, I value her opinion very much.
Well, I want to say thank you to both of you for being the guests on the show. Now, I know our time is running short. Y'all are very busy. Charlotte, we'll go ahead and go with you first. If you'd like to promote anything, go ahead with upcoming places where our fans and listeners can see you at, and any and all of your social media.
All right. That awkward moment where I gotta look up all my stuff again.
Oh, Jesus. You put all this stuff ready.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm such a slacker. I would just say if you get on Facebook, just look me up by my full name, Charlene. That's Charlene. Last name is McAnally. It's McAnally. And I mean, that's pretty much that's the social media site that I use the most. So if you want to get in contact with me, that's probably the best way to go about it. Or my full name at yahoo.com if you'd like to book me in the future. So.
And where can we see you at upcoming shows and stuff?
Let me pull up that calendar real quick. I'll just give you just this week, next. OVW tomorrow, NWA in Madison, Indiana on Friday. And then I got to be a good girlfriend, and I took the weekend off. So my next show will be OVW on the following Wednesday, and then Evolution Pro on June 30th.
All right, Christian, this is the time to put over the company, put over the show, social media, upcoming shows, upcoming wrestlers, rosters, premiere matches. Go ahead and, put yourself and the company over right about now.
Okay, so you can...
All right. Maybe you should call Van. Maybe you should call Van.
Maybe I should call Van.
Yeah. Just because he gives the most awesome pep talk, man.
Oh, my gosh, yes. But that is funny. That's a funny story. I'll have to tell Will that some other time. But as far as Evolution Pro Wrestling, you can look it up on Facebook, Evolution Pro Wrestling. You can contact the owners of Evolution Pro Wrestling, Mr. Keith Jackson and Miss Brittany Goodlett. They're also available on Facebook as well. They're very great owners. I had to get that plug out there. You can look me up, Christian Skyfire, on Facebook, Snapchat. I have a Twitter. I have an Instagram. I don't really know much about those though, because I have 2 pictures on my Instagram. But I'm on those. I do check the messages and stuff. I'm trying to think upcoming big matches. On the 30th, we have the Rudy Switchblade, Caden Sade, Matt Madison, Lee Byford. July 21st, we have White Trash Ron Mathis coming in. As well as a few others. I'm working on negotiating some bigger deals. I'm working on possibly in the next few months, probably around the month of December, maybe having somebody's second to last match before they retire. I just gotta get it confirmed. Charlene knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention any names. She can, but I'm not. But that's about it, honestly.
What was that again, Charlene?
I said we talked about so much stuff I can't even think of what he's talking about right now, to be real.
Talking about booking the he's talking about booking the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, the Incredible Hulk. That's right.
I got to put myself over. I had to do it, y'all. I had to. But anyway, thank you. Why else do you think I have this podcast to put myself over? You know. Anyway, thank you both for being guests on the show today. Definitely in the next upcoming months, we would like to bring you back on. Maybe after about 6 months, we'd like to have you come back on, both of you come back on and talk about what's been going on with Evolution Pro since the inception and stuff, if both of you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, once again, thanks both of you for coming on the show. I will talk to you later. Thanks for being guests, man. We'll just talk to you down the road, okay?
All right. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karen.
Did you cut it?
We're still recording right now, Christian.
Oh.
Who's it, Charlene?
Yeah, Charlene. I'm sorry. I sound like a man.
No. I thought I already heard you hang up. I'll definitely contact you afterwards. You go ahead and hang up, and I will contact you afterwards, okay?
All right, man. Bye.
All right, bye. Kev. Kev still here? Kev. Did Kev disappear? I think he did. Kev? Kevin. Earth to Kevin. Well, hopefully Kevin's still online. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin, Killer Kev, will be joining us pretty soon. Anyway, that was a show. Great show, I think. If you get a chance, look up Evolution Pro Wrestling. If you're in southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, northeast Kentucky, northwest West Virginia, Ohio area, whatever the case may be. If you're around Jeffersonville, Indiana, you've got to make your way to the world-famous arena in Jeffersonville, Indiana, right across the river from, Louisville, Kentucky, the world-famous Louisville Gardens where, Jim Cornette used to run and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the original Smoky Mountain Wrestling used to run. I love that building. The building has such a great old-school feel to it. The locker room, like I said, the locker room's downstairs. It's dark. Well, it's not so much dark, but, it's a basement, basically. It's downstairs. It's the basement. That's the locker room and stuff. Every time I've been to that, no matter what company I've been there for, man, I've always had a great time. The fans of Jeffersonville, Indiana are amazing. The fans that come to that building are amazing. Too Tough Tony, the owner of the building, is a great guy. And like I said, our guest tonight, Christian Skyfire and referee Charlene, seem like some pretty cool people. Definitely sounds like Christian knows what he's doing, thinks he has big plans for Evolution Pro. Not calling out any names to any of the other companies that may or may not run in the same building or may not run in the southern Indiana, eastern Kentucky, northeastern Kentucky area. But it definitely seems like Evolution Pro is going to be a major player in the independent wrestling scene in the next upcoming months, and the years to come.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to check. Kev, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I lost you for a second, Kev.
You kind of did for a second, but it wasn't your fault. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you. I thought that conversation that killed you or something. There was a lot of shots being thrown during that interview. But what did you think, Kev? What did you think about our guest tonight?
It was a great interview, and I tell you what, now that I've had a chance to hear a little bit more about it, this sounds like a company that I really want to get out there and see sometime.
Yeah, I definitely do. I've had a chance to meet Charlene and stuff when I went up to Indiana and stuff for Smash Fest. She's a great lady, amazing referee. In my opinion, not only the top female referee in the country, but one of the top referees on the independent wrestling scene. And that was not long when I said I would not be surprised when they have the Mae Young Classic if they didn't give her a phone call. I'd be highly disappointed in the powers that be at WWE if they did not give her a phone call. She is an amazing talent, sweet lady, definitely knows her business. As far as Christian goes, sounds like he has a lot of great ideas. What do you think, Kev?
Absolutely.
More than anything, it doesn't sound like he's ready. It doesn't sound like he's going to back down from a fight. And I love bookers like that. I love promoters like that. I love people like that who are not afraid to back down and buck the system. Anyway, So, Kev, what do we have before we go ahead and close off, because time is running short? What do we have coming up this week on the Angry Marks Podcast Network?
Well, we're going to have more review on Thursday night AMP of everything that's gone down in New Japan Pro Wrestling lately. Some changes coming up there for sure, and just all our usual shows.
Yeah, they just announced the competitors for the G1 Classic. I think there will be some names rearranged. If I'm being correct, is that right, Kev? Or just some people, like the people that announced might not be the actual people in the G1 Climax.
I don't have all the details on that myself. I pretty much missed it all this weekend, so.
Oh, okay.
You'll just have to listen to Thursday night AMP if you really want to know.
Exactly. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, I won't be a guest on Thursday night AMP. I think I'm gonna take a break. I'm not going, working 2 or 3 podcasts a week is kind of wore me down. So I'm gonna take a break for a second. Definitely gonna come back on Thursday night AMP and stuff during the G1 Classic. It's like 2 weeks, another 2 weeks of just amazing wrestling. I might actually show up and stuff and be a guest, after New Japan does their 2-day deal in America. Come back on the show and stuff and talk about that. Anyway, yeah, so this weekend, I will be at XCW in Ohio. I have a very short weekend going up to Ohio, Nelsonville, Ohio, for XCW, making my debut there and stuff. And that's about all I have coming up this week. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, this is Tuesday right now. You're in for a treat. This week we're actually going to have, we're going to be releasing 2 podcasts this week. We have tonight's show, and then tomorrow we'll be filming a very special podcast. Somebody who I consider a mentor, somebody who has helped me so incredibly in the past 10 years. He doesn't do a lot. He used to be really big doing podcasts. He used to host his own podcast, but he's very controversial, very big on the North Carolina indie scene. Has worked for Dragon Gate Pro Wrestling, has traveled all up and down the East Coast. He's a former NWA Continental Champion, former NWA Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champion, has held titles all over the place, has had a tryout and worked with WWE and all these other places. And, some people say that he's a wrestler. I consider him a brute. He calls himself a brute. Mark James, we're doing a special podcast with Mark James tomorrow, which will be Wednesday night. I've been trying to get Mark on for the longest time, since an earlier incantation of this show. Since this show was the Undisputed Wrestling Show, I was trying to get Mark as a guest on the show, and he really didn't want to do a lot of podcasts. He had a lot of things going on in his personal life. Didn't too much really like doing podcasts. I guess from his time doing his own show. Had got a bitter taste in his mouth for doing podcasts, and so he really didn't do a lot of interviews or podcasts. And luckily, this will be the first podcast he's done in a couple of years. So when the opportunity arose, I had to take it. It's going to be a great show. Kev, you're going to die laughing from the stories I can tell you about this guy. It's going to be amazing tomorrow.
Indeed, it will be.
All right. So anyway, that's our time for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for supporting not only this podcast, but all the other podcasts on the Angry Marks Network. Be sure to go to your iTunes store, go to the Google Play Store, listen to this on YouTube. And if you follow this website on Facebook. Comments, concerns, questions. If you think there's somebody that we need to have on the show, email myself or Facebook me, at William Huckabee. Email me if you have any questions or concerns, complaints, comments, congratulations. Email me. My email's on my Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at WA Huckabee. Follow me on Instagram at William Huckabee. Support indie wrestling. So on behalf of the hardest working man in wrestling podcast, my homie, my compadre, Killer Kev, on behalf of all the friends of the Wrestling Nerdcast, the Prophet Rick Craig, Dos Bunderbeard, the Bearded Wonder, Zane Paisley, Drew Skills, Troy Miller. On behalf, a huge thank you to Abby and Jason and Stevie J over there at the Thursday Night AMP for having me as a guest for the last couple of weeks and putting up with my incessant talking and picking with Abby especially. this has been the Wrestling Nerdcast. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week. But until then, support indie wrestling. Be safe.
This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend and administrator of JimCornette.com and the Jim Cornette Experience on MLW every week. And you are listening to the Angry Marks and all these people that are asking me all these questions that I'm answering with forthrightness and honesty.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.